welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Abisola Olu-Ojo. If you are new here, you are very welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I filmed a video, and I had some of you reach out to check on me. Thank you so much. It meant a great deal to me that you noticed my absence, so thank you so much. Today's video will be based off people's requests on my channel. So when I began YouTube, I did a video talking about the healthcare course I did to get my first job as a new immigrant, and some of you have asked me to do a more detailed one. I'm sharing the course duration, what the course was like, my experience and everything, as well as my thoughts about the course. So that's what I want to do today. So if you're interested, please keep watching. So guys, let me get straight into the video for today. I did a certificate 3 in individual support, home and community, aged care and disability support. That's a mouthful right there. So what I did was combined. It was like a 3-in-1 certificate. Depending on where you get the training done, this might be different certificates, but at the time they were offering the option of doing them as one certificate. So in terms of duration, it was for 3 months, and I had classes 3 days in a week. Sometimes the classes will be in the morning or in the afternoon, and even in the evening sometimes. So that was a bit tricky for my family because we had young children. So this is something to also consider, because in my case, I had to consider the times I had classes as well as whatever my husband was doing. So we had to kind of manage our schedule every day or whenever I had classes. And thankfully, at the time, we had a Nigerian friend who was able to watch over our kids for a few hours if I had to go out and if my husband had to go out as well. But on the days somebody was at home with the kids, I would go for my training. On the days I had to go for training, my husband might stay at home with the children. So we found a way to juggle everything and make it work during my entire training process. At the end of training, you then get sent to do a work placement. Now, a work placement is just like doing internship after you have studied for a while, to put into actual practice everything you have learned. While you are training, there will still be a few practical sessions. It's mostly theoretical during your training, but you will do a few practical sessions. But your work placement sends you to the field to actually put into practice everything you have learned in the space of 3 months. Now, the total duration of a work placement is about 160 hours. So you have been assigned 160 hours to complete a work placement. They will send you to a facility closest to you. So they will consider your suburb, and they won't send you to a facility really far away. Mine was just about 10 minutes drive from where I was living, which was very good to me. Now, being in aged care or disability support is mostly shift based. So what I mean is you're either working in the mornings, afternoons, or nights. And mornings, from what I recall, is 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Afternoon is 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And night shifts are 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. But if you are doing your work placement, they would not send you to do a night shift because there's no one there to supervise you. I'm sure you see what I mean. You are there to train and you have to be supervised. So you most likely get morning or afternoon shifts. They will mix them for you depending on the needs that they have at the facility. So I was doing a lot of morning and afternoon shifts. So morning will entail everything you have to do to support someone in the morning, and afternoon will entail everything you have to do to support somebody in the afternoon. So you would complete 160 hours during a work placement. Usually they will send a facilitator from where you have done your training just to supervise you at the work placement center. So ensure that you are attending, completing your hours, and just doing what needs to be done. So they'll be checking how well you're tracking before they hand you your certificates. Now, in terms of cost for the training, I came in as a permanent resident and it cost me about $2,000, and that would include my application fee as well as the first aid training I had to do. If you have a student visa, that would definitely differ. So I would encourage you to find out, depending on where you choose to get your training done. The prices would differ for someone who has a student visa and someone who has a permanent residency visa. So please confirm based on your visa type what the actual cost for the training will be. So yeah, that's it. The actual training will last about 3 months. You do a work placement, 160 hours is what you have to complete. And when you have done that satisfactorily, they would then hand you your certificate, and voila, you have a certificate 3 in aged care and disability support. There are several training centers in Australia where you can get this course done. It might be at a TAFE or just an actual training center for courses like this one. So that's all. There's also a likelihood of being retained where you do your work placement. I didn't get retained. They had a few reasons why they couldn't retain me, but that could definitely happen where you get sent out to do your work placement somewhere and they ask you to stay and just, get a full-time job there. So for jobs like this, it could be a casual role, or a part-time role or a permanent role. In my case, I chose to do a casual role, and what that means is I work when I want to, or I work when work is available. This is just more flexible for my setting, considering I had young children as well as a working husband. So we had to find a way to make it possible to work as well as have that balance of being present for your children. So that's something you want to consider, if you're choosing to go this route in your career as a new immigrant. Yeah, so did the training, did the work placement, and got my certificate, and then it was time to start applying for jobs. So you definitely want to find out what a resume like that should look like. So reach out to friends you might have in the country and ask questions, guys. Ask people questions. So I had a few friends who were in the same sector send me their CVs, so I would compare and just draft mine to suit what was required. So in a few months, less than 2 months, I got a job, but I also got some help. I had a Nigerian friend who was in the healthcare sector. I had him put in a good word for me where he was working, and I got a phone call, and in no time, I got a job. But the first job I got was in the aged care industry. So being in aged care just means that you are caring for those who have lived a very long life. My first job was with the agency, and working with an agency just means that the agency sends you to different facilities where they need extra support from staff. So that can be quite tedious. I found it very tedious, working in an agency, because you might be sent out to places you have never been before. You have no idea what their work process is like. You have to just fall in and fit in and do what needs to be done. So there were times I'll be sent to the same facility over and over again, and there were times where I'll be sent to a totally new place. So different experiences every day. You meet new staff, you meet new people. It can be overwhelming, in my opinion. So I did that for just a few months because I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't enjoying the experience at all. This is just me. It might not be the case for you guys. So I'm just sharing what my experience was working in an agency. So yeah, just being sent out to people's homes sometimes, because I also had home and community care in my certificate. So I might get sent out to facilities or people's homes just to support them. I did it for roughly 5 months, and while I was in the agency, I immediately began applying for a different job because I knew I didn't want to be there for too long. So it was primarily aged care, like I mentioned. So I tried to apply for a job that was disability support. So that's quite different from working in aged care, because in disability support, you are supporting people who are quite independent, or who are totally dependent on your care. So it differs. So I got another one in no time. And like I always say the healthcare sector is one where there's always demand for people. We have a high percentage of elderly people here in Australia, so there's always a need for more hands on deck to be in aged care facilities as well as disability. I really, really commend those who have been in this industry for a long time, supporting our elderly and disabled people in Australia. So like I was saying, I got the disability support job in just a few months, and that was easier for me because I wasn't having to drive around different facilities to care for people. With my disability job, I was just in one facility caring for people. So there were a variety of people, some with severe disabilities needing full-time support, as well as people who just needed you to prompt them from time to time, get them to do what they should be doing. It was mostly person-centered care, so the kind of care that was tailored to suit people with different disabilities. So again, in that role, I didn't stay for too long. When I got that job, I went back to school and started a course that would help me navigate into the career path that I really wanted to be in. So roughly a year and a few months was all I spent in the healthcare sector. So I think I've covered everything you need to know about enrolling for the training and getting a job. Now to my final thoughts. I will start by saying it is a very quick way to get a job as a new immigrant, especially if you are desperate for a job, especially if you have come in as a student, or if you are PR and you didn't have any previous working experience, say for example back home in Nigeria or wherever you are coming in from. If you are really keen on getting a job to make ends meet, being in aged care or disability support is one of the quickest ways to get a job. Is it for you? That's something you would have to answer, because I've said in quite a few videos that it is not for everybody. I know that there are people who are just suited for jobs like this, but it wasn't for me, if you see what I mean. So that's something you have to consider. Are you able to be in there for a while? Can you handle it? Because I believe that even though they say money is everything, money is not everything. Your mental health is something that you should really consider. Personally, being in the healthcare sector drained me mentally and emotionally. I wasn't happy at all during my time in the healthcare sector, and that's why I knew that I had to get out really quickly. I also have friends who have been in there for quite a while and actually like it. So it might be something that you're just tailored to do, or you might even have a calling for supporting elderly and disabled people. There are people who really derive fulfillment from being in the healthcare industry. I don't, and that's why it was important to me to find a way to step out of it and be where I would find more fulfillment from. And that's exactly what I did. So is it worth it? Yes. Is it for you? That's something you have to answer for yourself. I think what I also want to really drive home to us today is the fact that if you find that there's nothing else you can do and you just feel like this is something you have to do just so you can support your household or your family, definitely give it a try, but don't get comfortable there. I know people who don't necessarily like being in aged care or disability support, but they just stay there because they can't get themselves to come out of it and try something else. I wouldn't encourage you to get comfortable just because you're able to pay your bills and make ends meet and it's just comfortable. Don't get comfortable. If you don't enjoy it and you are there, if it is stressful, if you are constantly sad or complaining or transferring aggression or just unhappy being there, definitely find a way to come out of it. I think that there's a myth with people coming into a new country and just believing that, oh, I have to go into healthcare. No. If you had a different career path previously before you came into a new country, it's not impossible to go back into that same career path. I'm definitely a testimony of that. So say for example you were in human resources in Nigeria or whatever country you're originally from, and you come into a new country and you can't get a job after a few months, and you just think that, oh, healthcare. No. I would say to still try and be in a career path that makes you happy, even if for a while you might have to do something that doesn't make you happy, but find a way to go back to what you really want to be in. And thankfully now in Australia, the cap on work hours have been lifted, so there are no longer any restrictions that say you only have to work a certain number of hours. Now you can work as many hours as you like, which is also good for somebody who doesn't want to be in healthcare, is looking for a white collar job. You can definitely consider that. So look into doing a Cert 3 or Cert 4 in biz admin or health and safety or human resources or accounting, whatever it is that you were doing previously or you think you can do if you didn't have a previous work experience. Definitely consider going to TAFE to do extra studies and just be where you will be happier. It's not for everybody. Something else I would say is be careful not to fall for pressure from other people. People will suggest aged care, disability support because they know that it's a quick way to get a job, but think about it well, guys. If you know you can't do it, if you know that it's going to be too much for you, please don't do it. Your mental health is important. You don't want to go and be unhappy at work and then bring that unhappiness into your household. That would be unfair to your innocent children or your spouse. I'm sure you understand what I mean. So summarily, guys, think about it very well and decide if it's something you can handle. If you even have to do it and you think that you have no choice, you can do it, but don't get too comfortable. Don't stay there for too long. If you're going to ask me personally, did I have to do a set 3 in aged care and disability support? No, I did not have to. I feel like I didn't know better at the time. I didn't consider it really well. I just did it in a hurry, and eventually everything works for our good because we work with God. So I think that I'm still happy with where I am now. I'm still happy that I stepped out when I stepped out. I have no regret at all. But could I have done without it? Definitely. So that's something for you all to bear in mind. I hope you have found this helpful. Just think about everything really well before you make any decision as a new immigrant. It might suit your lifestyle if you have come into study, because you get that balance just as well with any other job, to be honest. In my current job, I know a few students who are my colleagues, so they are doing part-time on my job and also studying part-time. So just weigh your options really well before you make any decision. I hope I have answered questions that many of you had and sent to me today in this video. I hope you have gained some more clarity around being in aged care or disability support. When you need helpers, God will raise helpers for you. If you are considering where will my children be, what will I do, and all of that, God definitely raised helpers for me, and I know that He will do the same for you. So commit all your ways into the hands of God, like I always like to say, and everything will work out eventually. It might get tedious in the beginning, just being a new immigrant and trying to figure things out, but everything aligns eventually. So just take it easy. Don't be under too much pressure. You'll be fine. I'm fine now. You'll be fine. Trust me. So yeah, that's all I want to share in today's video. If you have found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up in this video. Go down and drop your comments, any questions you have. If you want to add to anything I may have said, because I may have skipped a few things because I'm human, so just go down there and let me read from you. I love reading from you. If you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you on my next video. Bye.